Heyo, welcome to the QB School Show. Fired up for this one. This live stream thing continues to grow. Hopefully y'all continue to enjoy it, get a chance to interact real time. This thing will let me know, make sure that it sounds good. Give me a little thumbs up or something to make sure I'm not talking to myself in the dark with this fancy cinematic lighting. But it's fun for me to get on here and kind of go through a handful of topics that are kind of relevant in the news, that hopefully give a little bit different perspective, that y'all can get a chance to ask questions and go back and forth. And I want to make sure that I hit a handful of things that I've been interested in, that people have been asking me about. I appreciate y'all letting me know that it sounds good. I think I've mastered this thing now, finally, after a handful of crash and burns early. If you were there for the early live streams, I appreciate y'all hanging out and making sure to still be around. But it's fun for me. You know, it's a chance to not have to do a long extended video, but just kind of talk about some relevant topics. You know, for today, I really want to dig into the Tony Romo contract. You know, for me, it's fascinating on a number of levels, both the dollar figure and kind of people's hot takes on it. And so I don't know if mine will be a hot take by any means, but wanted to get a chance just to talk about it a little bit. And then really just get a chance to interact and go over some ball and see where y'all want to take this thing. So I appreciate y'all being here. Got my Monday night beverage here, and let's get this thing going. I appreciate the support, hanging out. So to get it started here, Tony Romo, contract, broadcaster extraordinaire. You know, for me, I come at this from a little bit different angle, just because I remember Romo starting, getting his chance playing, Dallas Cowboys quarterback, and now transitioning into a broadcaster, making all this money. You know, for me, I think overall, I don't really understand the blowback to it. To me, if anything, he's worth more than that. And what I mean by that is he makes the game better, I think, for the vast majority of fans. Now, you know, I don't want to take other people's, you know, away from their own interpretation of what he's like as an analyst, but he's pretty damn good. Yeah, does he get some things wrong? Sure. Does he have some weird sound effects? Yeah. But how do you not, if you're passionate about it and you're having fun doing it? To me, I'm a big fan. I think he's pretty good at it. You know, I think he makes the game more enjoyable. I think he points things out that other people haven't been able to point out from the booth. I think he's really quick processing information, communicating it in a pretty clear, you know, way that people understand. And he makes it fun. And you know, the relationship with Jim Nagy, you know, it's just interesting on many levels. But I think he's enhanced the quality of the football experience for the viewer at home. And so to me, it's undervalued. I know a lot of people are blown away, especially players, and I get it. When you're playing, how could a broadcaster make more than you? But they have a different type of interaction with the fan. The reason those players are making money at the levels that they are is TV. That's the deal. NFL football is built for TV. It's an unbelievable TV viewing experience. The collisions, the violence, the pace of the game, the pauses, the chances for interaction, analysis. There's so many elements of it that are ultra, you know, for lack of a better word, ultra American. And TV brings it out, you know, as opposed to baseball, or for an American audience, you know, soccer with the non-stop action. Football, there are breaks all the time to talk, analyze, strategy, you know, all those things. And Tony Romo is great at pulling apart things that other broadcasters haven't been able to see, whether they don't know what they're looking for or what. He's willing to take a chance, sometimes, you know, not always be right, but he's right pretty often, you know, about where they're going to go with the ball. And it comes from, you know, playing football, doing his homework, you know, all those things that he's been able to translate immediately to the booth. I think the thing that's most surprising for me is just how seamless it was. I've never done color and have no desire to do color, but I can tell you, I'm going to guess it's pretty hard. It really is pretty hard. And so he's been such a seamless, you know, transition into being the absolute best. You know, I'm sure there are Collinsworth fans and other people fans, and I remember Madden growing up and, you know, those type of things, but none of them to me are both as kind of nuanced for Romo and understandable to everyone. You know, the random fan who's just clicking through, the pseudo fan, and then the diehard fan. They all get something with Tony Romo. And for me, he makes the game better. Do I like seek out to only watch Tony Romo games? No, by no means. But do I cringe when he has the game? Absolutely not. I think he's probably the best announcer in the game, and think he should get every dollar he's worth. And so it's just been fascinating for me, whether it's talk radio, talking heads, throw YouTubers in there now, with hot takes. For me, he's worth every penny of it. He's probably worth more than it, to be honest with you, because I think he makes the game better. And what I mean by that is just comparing the dollar figures of, let's say, what a quarterback makes. If they're making, let's just say, under 20, Tony Romo, to me, brings more value and entertainment to the game than a middle-tier NFL starting quarterback. So from that standpoint, to me, it's worth every penny. Let me know what y'all think here if I'm off on my own. Yeah, a perfect example is Jason Witten and how hard it was for him to transition and what a nightmare it is, or what, the nightmare that ESPN has gone through on their Monday night booth. It's not easy. I bash on Booger a little bit because it's impossible not to, but I can imagine it would be really hard. And I know a handful of guys that do it, and it looks difficult. And so I empathize with those guys, but it's at the same time, I appreciate the fact that Romo seems like he's authentic. Like, that's just him, I think. I remember Romo, in the league circles of quarterbacks, I think he used to rub guys the wrong way, because I remember him, like, how he got his opportunity to play, and then the backwards hat, all these old school quarterbacks thought that he was, kind of gifted the Cowboys franchise. And I just think they were jealous. I mean, the guy could spin it when he was playing. He didn't win a Super Bowl, but he was an unbelievably talented quarterback from an undrafted, great story, obviously has a deep understanding of the game, and I think he's a great communicator on a really, for me, it's hard to take. I appreciate people who communicate well in any sector, but people who take what is supposedly complicated, and I think it's up for debate how complicated football really is, but let's say that NFL football is complicated. He takes that complicated element of it and breaks it down for all levels of fans. And I think that's a real skill. And I don't know if he had to learn it or if that's just the way he operates and thinks and communicates. But to me, it's impressive. And for that, I think he's moved the game forward and made it better. All right. What else we got? Hit me with something good here. We got 81 in the house right now. I appreciate y'all being here. See if I can get to some of my different emojis going here. I'm addicted to these emoji things. I got to get some new ones. If anybody knows how to make better emojis than the ones that I have, I'm all for it. Let me know. I think I went like borderline boomer on it, but I'm having fun with it. Jalen Hurts, Justin Duckett. You timed that one perfect. For me, I'm not going to jump the gun. Well, first of all, if you all get a chance, let me know in the comments if you've gotten a chance to check out the draft analysis videos, because for me, I'm really enjoying those. I don't know if it comes across. I think it probably does come across because they're so damn long. I can't cut them down, but they are fun for me. And I don't spend a lot of time watching college football. I just came into this kind of basically library of really high quality film, and it's made available now that I can use it for the channel. And so I'm having a blast with it because I like the schemes. I like the X's and O's. I'm fascinated by guys who are on that upward trajectory to the league. And watching Oklahoma film, specifically Jalen Hurts film, is fascinating. One, because I love the scheme Lincoln Riley runs in Oklahoma and how he's able to adapt with whoever quarterback he's had there. And obviously he's had some ridiculous 2 number 1 picks overall. But Jalen Hurts, as far as like what he did at the combine, I have no idea what he did at the combine. I didn't watch a snap of it. I saw a couple highlights of guys running fast 40s, and it's fascinating to me on different levels of what the industry of what combine has become. But to me, watching a very, very, very small sample size of Jalen Hurts, he is going to struggle to play quarterback in the league if he continues to be as accurate as he has shown in his college film. I'm not saying he didn't get better, and I think the obvious example is Lamar Jackson. The guy was not an accurate passer his rookie year. He just wasn't. Like, I don't care if you're friends with him. He wasn't. But he made a massive jump. So people can get better, especially when this is their craft and they're dedicated pros and they're hyper focused on it and living it every single day. You're going to get better really fast. Can he get better? Sure. But has he shown over the course of his career to be an accurate passer? I would say probably not. When we're talking down the field, non-screen, non-check down, non-handoff throws, the accuracy to me is not good enough to be an everyday quarterback, and really even an NFL quarterback. And so I hope he proves me wrong. I've heard he's a great guy. Everything he goes about looks like it's first class, but just the ability to spin it in a very small sample size, and I'm probably going to do a video, so you'll see if it's reinforced with the evidence when I watch an entire game, because let me tell you, I have not. I've watched bits and pieces of series from the All-22 for different reasons, but what jumped off the film for me was someone who's not accurate enough to be a consistent NFL player. And so we'll see if he, finds a secret sauce here, whether it's in this pro day or in the combine or in the lead up to it, or even now what he's doing. But I mean, you go from two of the elite programs in the country, they couldn't make you, an accurate passer. I think it's going to be difficult to then all of a sudden transition into an accurate passer in the NFL. It's obviously been done, and it's been done really recently. So I don't want to forget about this recency bias element of it, but it's possible. It's just really difficult to do. I think you see most people at this point in their life, they are what they are as far as how they throw the ball. I think you can get better at it. You can work at your craft, absolutely. But, what I was in college was what I was in the pros. That's why you get drafted. That's how it works. And so we'll see. I don't know if their team will make a runner on him or what, but let me know if you guys think I'm out of my mind or what. Another thing I wanted to talk about on the QB show this week was the fact that Hal Mummy, basically the father of the air raid, I heard he got basically either tore up his knee or broke his leg on a sideline collision. So I wanted to talk about this kind of real briefly about sideline collisions, sideline etiquette on the sideline at an NFL game or really any high-level football game. The first thing that, if you've never been on a sideline of a high-level football game, it's essentially a car crash every play. I mean, there is violence and explosion all over the place. And so when you're there, the white is 2 yards, maybe 6 feet. Then you have maybe another 6 feet, 2 yards of a line for the coaches to operate in. But oftentimes people don't stay in the field. So if a play goes to the sideline, guys will get tackled out of bounds. People run out of bounds. If there's a punt, gunners are running out of bounds all the time. There's just no other way to put it. It's a violent place to be, and it's dangerous on many levels. You don't see children on sidelines. There's all sorts of health issues. And in fact, I remember vividly, like it was yesterday, I was playing for, who was I playing for? The Vikings. Mike Tice was our head coach. And I want to say it was a punt gunner. It might have been a wide receiver. I'm pretty sure it was a punt gunner. Got pushed out of bounds and got collisioned out of bounds by the defender and right into his knee and blew out his leg. And he was standing in the coach's stripe. So not the white, not like the sideline, but there's another coach's stripe beyond that. And it's one of those things where if you're not watching the play, especially if you're on the sideline having a conversation, especially on a fourth down situation where there's a transition for units on the field, it is dangerous. And I remember being caught a few times where you watch people on the sideline, people who know what they're doing that are lifers down there. And when the play is coming at you, all you want to do is go backwards. That's the natural thing, is to just go backwards. And that's usually a good answer, except when you go backwards and now you're all of a sudden trapped. There's someone behind you who's not going backwards. And now all of a sudden you're trapped and you're in a violent collision and you're not moving and they're moving at full speed. And there are probably multiple people coming at you. And so for me, I was always intentional about being on the other far away from the play, down the thing, just because I'd seen it enough. In fact, I remember my college coach for the 5 years I was in college, he used to always say, he got hurt on the sideline, and he would always say, protect yourself on the boundary, protect yourself on the sideline, protect yourself on the boundary, because he let up right before he was about to go out of bounds, and someone rolled into him and hurt his knee. And so for me, it's always been, when I was playing, I would run through that boundary full speed, all the way through, 5 yards through the line of scrimmage, because I didn't want someone thinking I was still in bounds, taking a cheap shot or running through someone. And I always think of the reason Tom Brady is playing, to a certain extent, the reason he got his opportunity. Drew Bledsoe on the sideline, smacked. The sideline is a weird thing because it's almost like an an artificial wall where there's this element of like super guy toughness of like, I'm not going out of bounds. I'm going to create a collision for no reason, as opposed to just getting what you can get and get out of bounds, which I think is the way of the game now a little bit more than it was. I used to remember hearing coaches say, you pretend like there's a cement wall on the sideline. You do not run out of bounds. And so it was always just like this added element of collision, violence on the boundary. And it happens to coaches. I swear it happens to the coaches too much. And it's one of those things where they just don't pay attention, or they're looking down at their play sheet and all of a sudden they're swiped out from someone on the sideline. So it's one of those things for me, even when we watch film at the high school level, I tell our players, protect yourself on the boundary at all costs. Never let up on the boundary. Run through the sideline and protect yourself, and realize that there are people who are out there who they have bad intentions, and they're coming to get you. And that's, at that level, at the pro level, it's their job. But at the high school level, they're looking for, any sort of shot on someone who's not protecting themselves at all times. And you let your guard down almost naturally on the sidelines. And it's this built up thing where even in practice, you don't slow down on the sidelines. You protect yourself on the sidelines at all costs. And so it's just it's a bummer to see people get hurt on the sidelines. And it's not as bad, I guess, when it's a coach or a lifer, someone who's been in it. But when you see like reporters or cameramen or just fans that are down there with a sideline pass, it makes me nervous. And as just someone who loves football, who's seen so many bad things happen on the sideline. So, have your head on a swivel the next time you're down there. Yeah, cheerleaders, right? Cheerleaders always get smacked. That's probably not a great video that someone's probably going to splice up and make it sound like I said cheerleaders always get smacked on the sidelines by people running out of bounds. All right, what else? Hit me with some good questions here. I don't know if I've told this story on the channel, but I see Jeremy Gray talking about anybody else told the earhole kids in high school by their coaches. Absolutely, back in the day, 100%. A story that I like to tell about my first scrimmage in high school, my first real like tackle football experience. Like, we had practices, but the first time you're going against another school, I was up in Sacramento, played for a school called Jesuit, and we're playing Valley in a scrimmage. I didn't know at the time, but what they did was they ran a 4-4, had their two inside linebackers come into the A gap right over the center, and they blitzed the first play of the game, the first play of the scrimmage. And we were running like a handoff or something, but they tackled me before I handed the ball off. And when they tackled me, one of them grabbed my face mask and like twirled me around. And so I'm thinking, this is obviously not good, right? Like, first time I've ever been tackled, I'm getting jerked around by my face mask, get spun around, get up, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm blacking out. Like, it's over. The curtains are coming in. Like, why? My mom told me not to play. Curtains coming in. Sure enough, I'm looking at the ear hole of my helmet. Someone like grabs it, goes to the side and goes, yeah, you need to tighten your chin strap. I was like, oh, I did not think that this football thing was for me. And I remember vividly the first play ever of a tackle football scrimmage getting ear holed, or thinking I was getting ear holed when really I just got face masked and double A gap blitzed. And so ever since then, I've learned how to protect the A gaps. Super sticker, Jake Miller. Appreciate it, buddy. That's awesome. Does Jake Fromm have any mechanical fixes he can reasonably make to improve pop on the deep ball? Are his habits set in stone? I don't think anybody's habits are set in stone. I think that what you're asking, there are things that you can do to have, I guess, how do you describe it, more pop on a deep ball. Things that I think of is just maximizing the efficiency of your technique and your mechanics, but you can also get stronger, right? Like, you can get stronger with your core, you can get stronger with your legs, you can get stronger with your rotational force, your ground force, all of those things. And you obviously will when you become a professional and dedicated to it. But back to my original point a little bit with Jalen Hurts, at this point, you are what you are, as a passer. I think Fromm, for me, is a guy who has some mechanical question marks or concerns and inconsistency popped up this past year, and you can make excuses why that was, whether it was the scheme, whether it was the receivers, the perimeter, the youth, getting hit, any number of different excuses. But when you go to throw the ball and how you deliver it consistently is really the staple for any quarterback. It doesn't matter what level you're at. It doesn't matter who you're throwing it to. Do you throw it an accurate ball consistently and make good decisions? And I'm not sure he proved that this year that he did. Now, he obviously can make some amazing throws, and he's got a great ability to create stuff off platform with his legs not perfectly set, and he's athletic, and he's a little twitchy with how he throws and flicks. All great things that I wish I could have done better and been better at. He does better than I ever did. But as far as the consistency about delivering the ball down the field, I mean, not a whole lot of people do that to begin with either. Don't get it twisted that like everybody's doing that, and that they, that just because he doesn't mean that he's not going to be able to play and get better. I think that there are absolutely things he can do to improve that, and he probably will on many different levels. But it's not like you just say one thing like, oh, if he just loads his hip, or if he coils a little more, or if he, torques his upper body, or holds the ball like this, or doesn't Rubik's Cube it, like anything like that. Like, not really. Like, you are what you are as far as a passer. I know personally, I changed my throwing motion when I was a pro. I went from early in my career, they really wanted me. When I was in college, I had what I would call a longer windup. Not that I dropped the ball down like a Tebow, like below your hip, but like it was long. It wasn't quick. It wasn't slow, but it was long. And so my coaches, when I got to New Orleans, were like, hey, we want to quicken up your release. And I probably overcompensated and made it too short to where I was like darting it, and I couldn't get exactly what I wanted to. Oh, someone's crushing it there. And so from there, I kind of eventually found the sweet spot for me, which was, well, first of all, I learned a little bit more about mechanics. I got different coaches, and I basically took bits and pieces from all the coaches and realized what works for me. And from there, I think I found kind of the sweet spot to be able to maximize my efficiency and kind of arm angle and arc, and realized I was never going to be an over-the-top fastball type guy. I was always going to be kind of a, I don't know, not three-quarter, but, not sidearm. And so I just was able to find my sweet spot from that, and then able to kind of make sense with what I was trying to do from there. And so, I think that he will definitely get better. I think he's probably already gotten better since the film that I've looked at, but it's one of those things where until you're in it, and until you're doing it on a Sunday, nobody really cares. Left twitch long. No, not left twitch long. Don't do that to me. Yeah, toxic. How do I get rid of toxic here? Let me see. I can probably do something to that, huh? Put user in timeout. Hide user on channel. Let's go timeout. All right. What other questions we got, y'all? Got one more thing I really want to make sure I talk about, but other than that, I'm here for some questions. We almost got 150 people in the house. Brian, what's going on? What concept is next week? You know what? If we were to take a tour, if I could blog this thing, and we go out to my kitchen table, we'd see my playbooks laid out, and I don't know yet. You got any ideas? What are you thinking? I'm willing to do whatever Brian says here if I can find it. I really just look for whatever formation kind of hits me that I enjoy talking about first. And so it's not a very complex system. I know I'm going to do the logo at some point. So I don't know if I want to do that right now, because I want to make sure I give it some good time and talk about Algo. But I'm open to whatever. Brian on the spot. That's a good one, Richard. I appreciate that. I wouldn't time out you, Oscar. You'll be all right. Nick, what's that? What's logo? I don't even know what that means. Oh, super sticker. There we go. Enemy. Dolphin. That's funny. I do film breakdowns on my channel as well and love your videos. I'm not the only one that noticed the ball flip thing from day one. Glad I'm not alone. You're not alone, man. I got you. The ball flip thing to me is a serious pet peeve, and so I noticed it immediately. Henry, appreciate it. Welcome to the club, Pro Bowl Club. I'm gonna make sure I get you those videos early here as I keep cranking them out. I actually did 2 today, so I should probably crank those out to the Pro Bowl people. Oh, the logo breakdown. I got you, Nick. Yeah, I'm going to do it at some point. I need to do it. I want to make sure I spend time with it and make it worth the while because it'll be a good one. Obviously, the logo, Algo, is one of my favorite plays of all time. What's a switch concept, Matt? I don't even know what that is. I'm glad you all like the college breakdowns. I'm going to keep doing them Friday. I don't know if they're going to be quite as long as that. I probably will be, but just because I can't make them shorter. I don't even know what the switch concept is for everybody who keeps saying switch. If that's like some new crazy thing that I'm all about, let me know. Probably won't be in my old playbooks though. Oh, air raid mesh. Spellman, that is a good call. The only well, it definitely wouldn't be. I don't have a playbook from the league that has air raid mesh in it. They had variations of it, and I could probably do variations of it, but I'm not necessarily like an air raid guru. I honestly learned from many of the YouTube air raiders, like Ron Mackey and Kadudi. Is Kadudi one? No, he's got a good YouTube channel. There's a handful. Oh, Mesh 92 Mesh Group, also pretty good on the air raid stuff. Toxic, you're back already? Timeout was short. Stick. Did I not do stick already? I thought I already did stick. Oh, you guys call switch post from the 1, corner from the 2. Yeah, that's one of my favorite plays. I'm used to calling that scissors. I could definitely do that one. That's a good one. The other one that I like scissor. I like post with corner, but I also like post with what most people call a sail route, which is really just instead of a straight up, like I think post and corner have vertical stems, and the post usually goes over the top and the corner goes underneath it. You can obviously switch that, but the sail route from the inside route, if this is the outside receiver running the post, the sail route takes an inside release and really kind of makes it look like an over and then comes back out to kind of a corner deep out, which is a good one to do. So I could kind of do a hybrid of both of those. It's funny. I'm always fascinated by speed option, really. L-Train, man, you just got to watch the Super Bowl. You get all the speed option you need. It's a little weird. I mean, y'all tell me, you have to sit here and listen to me a little bit about these concepts. But because I played in so many different systems, I don't always tether certain concepts by a certain name. Like people will say like, run spider or cheetah or things like that. Like, to me, it's spacing, or it's a corner flat, or it's smash. And so, and then like people have different things that mean different things for as far as what the offense is. Popcorn, man, this is interesting. This has got like this live stream thing tonight has a little bit of like I don't know, daycare to a certain extent. I'm not used to this, like having to worry about people's comments. Goal line routes, back shoulder. Let me just throw this out here and see if I probably gave it away a little bit. But in the comments, I want y'all to tell me what you think the lowest percentage play at the goal line is. Like, what is the absolute least amount of chance to score of all the plays that are normally run at the goal line? I know, I do need a moderator. We're going to get, or a few. So at the goal line, percentage-wise, what would be the worst thing you could call to score? To score? Oh, punt, hilarious. Fullback dive is not a bad guess. it's definitely fade. Goal line fade, percentage-wise, is the absolute worst call across the board of all football. And so, come back. We got some funny peeps in the house tonight. I appreciate that. It's straight up fade, back shoulder fade, whatever you want. It's the lowest percentage over the course of like the last decade or so in any sort of like significant metric you look at. And so, to me, I'm not a huge fan of backside fade. We do a little bit of it at the high school level, and we got a dude who's a beast on the edge, so that makes it better. But it's tough to call something that has such a bad percentage, in my opinion. Gage in the house, super sticker, appreciate it. What's up, man? Which stadiums have you played in? When I was done playing, which was a while ago now, I played in every single NFL stadium except Mile High. So there are probably new stadiums that I haven't played in. I'm trying to think what would be like the example. Like Minnesota, I didn't play in. I played in the old Metrodome. So that was one of the things I definitely remember. When the last stadium I went to that was a new stadium for me was Arrowhead. And I remember being like, man, this is really cool. That's a cool experience. And that was back when they weren't even that good. Now I can only imagine now. It's probably one of those rockin' places. But it is fun. I think people forget. Not really. I think some players don't always appreciate how cool it is to go to new stadiums for the first time, because it becomes the norm. You know, your first couple of years in the league, every other week, you know, you're basically going to a new stadium. And so some guys have played in it, you know, depending on where you grew up. You might have played at the Cowboy Stadium or, you know, somewhere else if you get to like a section game or a state game. But, you know, every other week you're going to a really cool big stadium, and it's a great experience. And I always remember going out early. I used to go out early, like throw the ball around with the equipment guys or other wide receivers and just kind of take it in, because you are kind of living, you know, your childhood dream to be able to play quarterback. And you don't necessarily get to do it, especially if you're not playing during the game. So you get out there and just kind of enjoy being in an amazing stadium, throwing the ball around. I'm sure many, you know, of y'all would just like to get out on the grass and spin it around and have a good time. And so I used to remember always trying to do that, especially when I was in new stadiums for the first time. That's a good question. I might do a video on that. That's a good idea. Henry, what's going on? I got into football this last season and I'm learning, so a lot from your channel makes the game much more enjoyable. I appreciate it. I try to make, you know, again, the thing with this channel for me, and I know probably some of you have heard me say this before, but for me, it started with just the idea of I wanted to provide what I wish existed when I was growing up and being interested in football. And I think it's morphed a little bit into, I want it to be entertaining. I want you all to hopefully get some quality stuff, content out of it. And I want it to hit different sectors of people, whether that's people who are just diehard fans, people who are trying to learn the game, you know, a little bit of an international flavor, you know, and then players that want to learn more, maybe some coaches that are looking to kind of learn more a little bit about the quarterback position. So touch on all of those things, all while being kind of entertaining, fun, and doing kind of deep dive analysis that you can't really get anywhere else, because you just can't do it on TV because time doesn't allow it. You know, it's hard to do, you know, a 1 hour deep dive watching every single play from all 22 on TV. You just couldn't do it. And so this kind of medium provides that kind of content, and, you know, it's fun to connect with people that care about it, like it, and want to see more of it. So all good. Brian, what's going on? Why are all the younger coaches on the offensive side of the ball? Are older DCs falling behind? I don't know if they're falling behind. I think all the young guys are on the offensive side of the ball because not most young people, anybody who's getting into the business nowadays sees the fast track, or to be a head coach in the league is to coach quarterbacks, to call plays, and then to be a head coach. And, you know, it's not impossible to take different paths to being a head coach. You know, everyone from special teams coaches to defensive coaches, but I think the fast track, it's hard to argue, is to coach quarterbacks, really probably play quarterback, coach quarterbacks, call plays, be a head coach. And so the other fast track is to have your dad do something in the NFL and you get kind of a sweetheart deal to start when no one else would be able to start, you know, in an organization without some sort of connection. And so you see that, and no offense to those guys, that's just the reality of it. Like, that's just straight up nepotism out the gate. And it's not my, opinion of it. Many of the guys who are really good young NFL coaches, doesn't mean that they're not good coaches. They just wouldn't have had those opportunities if their dad didn't work in the league or coach in the league. And so that's just the reality of it when you look at a lot of those young guys. Not every single one, but damn near every single one. All right. The one other thing I wanted to talk about tonight, just because I saw it creeping back up into the CBA kind of negotiations or soft negotiations, whatever's going on as far as where they're at with the CBA, is this idea of more international games. And so from a player standpoint, I can really see both sides of it. I see why a player or players wouldn't want to do more international games. I really do. It jacks your schedule. It jacks your recovery. It impacts, you're not spending time with your family. How are you dealing with all these things? It really is a problem coming back. That's the thing. It's not so much going there because you'll have all sorts of energy, new city, experience, all those things. It's coming back, the recovery element of it, that I think really sets you back. And so the other side of it is, I think it's great for the game. I really do. I think it builds a wider audience. What market, what business wouldn't want to grow their global market? It just doesn't make sense not to. And I think if the players look at it from that standpoint, I think it's better for everyone. If they're being, compensated to increase those international games, I think it makes a lot of sense to do it. And I think over the long haul, it's not only good for the game, good for the players, good for the fans, good for everyone to intentionally kind of do that. I would like to see, to be honest with you, even more of a push to do that, almost to the point where, borderline every team cycles through those type of games on a pretty regular basis, just because I think looking to the future of what football looks like, all the uncertainty surrounding health issues, all those things, it's in the football's best interest to get out in front of that and kind of be its own kind of voice of goodness, for lack of a better way to say it, kind of preach their own message and create their own narrative, as far as how the game is perceived on a global stage, because there is such an opportunity to grow the game, but it's difficult to grow a game that's called American football just about everywhere outside of America. And it is hard to understand. There are all these moving parts and different strategy and terms that other people on an international stage don't necessarily know and don't see very often, and it's hard to get coverage to kind of learn how to do it because there aren't, a bunch of high schools over there playing it, or Pop Warner leagues playing it on the international stage. And so the game has to do an intentional job of growing at that kind of macro global level, and I think that they really will. And I think it's a great opportunity for the players, the game, and the league, all of the above, to increase that. And I would love to see it on an even wider scale. So yeah, I mean, Mexico City, London, all those places, it's only a matter of time, in my opinion. And so Rosen, I'm a big fan of Rosen. I know you keep asking, Justin, and I did a couple videos on Rosen. I'm a fan of Rosen. I think he can spin it, but at a certain thing, and I know I say this a decent amount on this channel, there is a lot of luck that goes into an NFL career, whether you're lucky, unlucky, healthy, unhealthy, who you play for, where you play, how long you're given, who's your coach, and just the optics looking outside in. Josh has been a little unlucky up until this point, and so doesn't mean that it won't work out over the long haul, but it certainly means like it makes the journey a little bit harder and a little bit more steep. And so I'm still a fan of his. I still think he can spin it. I think he's a really smart guy. I think I enjoy hearing him talk about different things, and from that standpoint, I'm a fan. So I hope he does get an opportunity to play for a good team with a good cast around him. And sometimes you got to take a step back to go be at a better organization where they prioritize winning and then make the most of an opportunity if and when it comes. So all right, y'all. It's about time to put my kids in bed. They've done a pretty nice job of not coming in here. I was a little nervous they were going to. I'm solo daddying it right now. So I appreciate y'all checking in and having fun. Hopefully y'all enjoyed this. Let me know in the comments who you want to see for the draft analysis video this week for the college prospects. I'm thinking, I got a handful of thoughts. I don't have quite good enough film for every single one of them. So some of them, are not options at the exact moment, but I want to make sure I do all of them, and I will do all of them. And I'll make sure I do a bunch of them for the Patreon community too, because they love the super deep dive stuff. So I do the hour stuff over there just because it doesn't resonate quite as well on YouTube. But anything y'all want to see, let me know. I appreciate it. Thank you so much again for checking in, hanging out, and yeah, appreciate it. I'll see y'all next time. Try to do it again next Monday. All right, y'all have a good night or day wherever you are.